My fourth and final interview was with a man named Will Clement, and he is an assistant director of event operations for Clemson University Athletics. Mr. Clement started out as a student for Georgia Southern University, studying to get his degree in sport management. While in college, he worked as a student helper in game operations. Going into his senior year, he was looking for an internship or job in game operations, but it was very difficult to find because everywhere he applied, they wanted someone with a master's degree and a couple of years of experience. Though with all the searching, he landed an internship at Georgia Tech for a semester that also gave him school credit. After completing his internship in game operations, a temporary position opened up doing the same thing at Georgia Tech, which they used to fill as a graduate assistant position. This gig was supposed to be a 2-year-long position that would help him gain more experience with game operations and event facilities operations role with football, volleyball, and basketball. In this position, managers would assign the event coordinator certain sports to work for, and these were his sports. He did that for about a year until a full-time position opened up that involved team operations for Olympic sports, but also event operations. He didn't have much experience in the team operations side, but his boss was confident in Mr. Clement's abilities that he could do it, so he accepted the job. Working in 2 different settings meant he had multiple bosses as well as having to communicate with the team's coaches, so his job involved a lot of time management. After a couple years, he was given the choice to stay in team operations or work strictly with the event facilities operations. He chose event facilities operations because working events was his personal favorite and he was more confident in that field. Mr. Clement worked in that position for a number of years, managing the tennis facility and softball stadium as well as staying involved with staffing and parking. A couple years later, an assistant director position opened up at Clemson University, which was a new position for them because they had recently added metal detectors to be used at football games and basketball games, as well as adding a softball team to their athletics department because they didn't have one previously. Mr. Clement has been working at this assistant director of event operations position now for almost 2 years and doesn't plan on leaving anytime soon. Currently, Mr. Clement's primary role in his director position for event operations is with the Clemson football team. On game days, he oversees the setup of metal detectors, barricades, fencing, and bag check tables. Clemson has 120 metal detectors for their football games because of the almost 80,000 fans on a normal year outside of COVID, as well as being a part of hiring a third-party company to assist them with setup for games. Monday through Wednesdays are planning days in the office, as well as sending out emails to security staff and having meetings with the marketing and video team, as well as the ticket operations team, making sure the planning and pre-setup is running smoothly. He does the same thing for volleyball, basketball, and softball, but the time it takes to set up those events take less planning because there are way less fans in attendance for those sports. When it comes to prioritizing his time, he likes to write out everything he has to do and start with what needs to be done first, or send out emails early in the week that might not have a specific time to be done by, before he gets really busy toward the end of the week. Some of the key points in my interview with Mr. Clement were the challenges he has to face and the skills needed for the event operations position. The challenges of Mr. Clement's job would definitely be planning for multiple events that may take place in the same day or within a day of each other. It's been worse in the past year during COVID because many fall sports are being rescheduled in the spring that happen to overlap with spring sports like baseball, softball, and track. It gets tough because Mr. Clement can't be in 2 places at once, so his staff is spread across multiple events at a time, leaving them short-staffed. Mr. Clement said some of the most important skills to have in event operations is hands-on experience as well as being able to communicate well and to ask questions. But he said you need to start as soon as possible, like getting involved in college athletics while in school. He said it's good to ask questions so you're learning how to run the event and facilities properly, but also to gain knowledge that you won't find in a textbook. What I found to be the most important takeaway from my interview was to reach out early and get involved in some kind of sports, whether it be college athletics, volunteering in the summer at a minor league baseball team, or a golf tournament, or even trying to get in to learn from major league sports teams. Mr. Clement advocated for this a lot in our interview and said all it takes is an email or a phone call because administrators in sports love to help aspiring students if they want to work. If I got to interview Mr. Clement one more time, one of the things I would do differently would be to ask him about what led him to choose event operations from the very beginning, when he started working as a college student. He told me many times how passionate he is about event operations. I would just like to know why he loves it so much.